To the Becoming Her Success and Self-Growth podcast. For those who are tired of starting over, ready to raise their standards, and determined to build the health, confidence, and mindset that lead to lasting success. I'm your host, Liv from Live Fit Inc., and today's episode is what I would do if I were my client or what I would tell you if you were my client. International Women's Day edition. So this morning I was at an incredible event for International Women's Day. I was surrounded by female entrepreneurs in various points of their business journey, and there were several powerful speakers, and they were all just telling us about, how they got started, what they do, what they've had to overcome. And it was just such a powerful event, and all of the business owners were talking on the importance of giving back. And today I want to do exactly that. It really inspired me to give a podcast episode on literally everything I would tell you and ask you if you were my client so that you can start your own journey and hopefully, reach your goals. So, I'm really excited about this one. Um, I'm just going to show you the priorities because I find in the wellness space there are so many different things you can do. I find the wellness space can be overwhelming and everything is marketed as the perfect solution. There's a new diet, a new supplement, a new, injection now, a new workout trend, and it can feel impossible to pinpoint and filter through what actually matters. So today I'm giving you the real priorities, and the first few might actually surprise you because we're not starting with, nutrition or workouts today. We are starting how I would start if I were on a call with you and I wanted to, really help you get to the root cause of why the things that you've tried in the past have not worked in the past. So, tip one, ask yourself why it didn't work before. Ask yourself, what have you tried before? So, most women tell me that they have tried something, food tracking, a restrictive diet, a fad diet, doing intense classes every day, getting a gym membership and just kind of figuring it out as you go. And what I hear often is one of these two things. If the client has tried something in the past, I always hear that it worked but they stopped doing it, which tells me that it was not maintainable. It is not something that they could sustain in their everyday life, which in itself is a problem, right? Because if you want to reach a goal, you're going to have to continue doing these things. It's not just going to stick. You're not going to get there and then give up all the things that got you there. So when you make habits, you need to make it something that you know is going to last. And then the flip side of it, the other one I hear is that they didn't do it long enough to see results because one bad day spiraled into quitting completely. So before starting anything new, I want to ask you, or you to ask yourself, one important question. What can I realistically do long term? And for me, when I look back on my journey, my first successful weight loss journey, I was doing a lot. I didn't start with doing a lot. I started with doing 20-minute beach body workouts a day. 20 minutes, that's all it was. All I needed was a step. I could do it from home. I had no kids. It was easy. It wasn't easy, but it was simple. It was a simple choice because it was only 20 minutes. I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to leave the house. I just got it done. And eventually I progressed and I moved into going to the gym and, working out 6 days a week, but I didn't have to do that to get started. That is something that built up over time. And it was only at the point that I started slower than trying to go to the gym every day that I was able to actually work my way up to that. Now, after having two kids, I don't go to the gym 6 days a week anymore. I don't really go to the gym at all. I'm in the process of building a home gym. As of right now, I have dumbbells and I'm working out at home 3 or 4 days a week, and I try to add one run in there because we're training for another 10K. Um, so yeah, what can you realistically do? If you're a busy working mom like I am, maybe that means 30 minutes 3 to 4 times a week. And maybe it's early mornings before the house wakes up, or it's after the kids are in bed. Or maybe you can sneak one in at nap time if your kids nap. And or maybe it's just 10 minutes of movement a day. Like you want to start simple. You want to start with something that you're like, I could definitely do that. I could definitely do that every single week for the rest of my life. No problem. No questions asked. So maybe that's starting with 10 minutes. Maybe, one day you do some body weight exercises, and then the next you do, a quick yoga you find on YouTube, and then maybe you go for a longer walk the next day because you have a little more time. You can do that because movement is the key. Always add strength training though. But also the habits are important to start. So start with 10 minutes. After you hit 10 minutes for a couple weeks, maybe grab some dumbbells and start doing the same dumbbell exercises each week. And you can just kind of progress from there, but it needs to start very manageably because it's so much easier to be hard on yourself and to give up completely when you start with these crazy expectations. Like you see these gym people working out like 6 days a week, and you're like, well, I want to look like them, so I'm going to do what they do. But they definitely didn't start doing that. That's not how they started off. I guarantee it. So make it sustainable. If you can't imagine yourself still doing it 6 months from now, it is probably not the right approach. So, tip number two, learn to adapt, especially as a mom. This one is huge, but for literally anyone, okay? Life happens and things come up. Kids get sick. Your boss schedules a meeting during the time you plan to go for a walk. Your car breaks down. Someone in the family needs help. Like, life happens. And what matters is what you do when it does. You always have two options. You can either find an excuse or you can find a way. You can decide that today just isn't the day and the world is telling you that you should skip your workout, or you can decide that the world is testing your commitment and giving you a chance to prove how strong you are. Maybe the workout moves to tomorrow. Maybe you fit in a quick walk later in the week, but you adapt instead of quitting. Maybe you don't get your workout in that day. Maybe you are incredibly busy this week and this thing came up is going to bleed into other days, and it doesn't work out this week that you get all three of your workouts in or whatever you committed to. That's okay too. Sometimes adapting means accepting that this week wasn't perfect and trying to be just a little bit better the next week. So, my third tip is that your mindset is absolutely everything, okay? A lot of women are our own worst critics, which means the second something doesn't go perfectly, we get in our heads, we feel like we failed, we give up. And the thing is, like logically, if you think about it, like if you didn't show up to like if you forgot to brush your teeth one morning, you would never in a million years, think about that and be like, well, I forgot to brush my teeth this morning. I might as well just never do it again because I suck. No, like it's a habit that you have. It is a standard you hold yourself to as someone with not smelly breath and like good oral hygiene. You hold yourself to the standard of brushing your teeth. So if you have a crazy morning and you forget to brush your teeth, you're trying to brush your teeth at the nearest time available. Like, or you're going to get gum on your way and making sure you brush your teeth that night. Like, right? Like you're finding a way to do that. It's the same thing. Like, yes, this is new. This is a new commitment. Yes, you may have failed in the past and you were hard on yourself during that failure. And, there's more of like certain ideas around fitness and like maybe someone in the past told you that you like can't do it or you've told yourself over and over again you can't do it. And that's why you feel like you failed. But the truth is that progress comes from consistency and not perfection, right? And you can switch from being your own biggest critic to being your own biggest cheerleader. Celebrate all the wins. And I don't just mean wins as in the number on the scale has changed, because that is not the only win that is going to come from working on your health and wellness, okay? There are so many things that you can focus on, so focus on the good things, okay? Don't get on the scale twice a day and ask yourself over and over again if it's working, okay? Just commit to being a little bit better each and every day, each and every week. Commit to showing up and celebrating every single time you show up, okay? Celebrate that you ate really good today and that you got more protein in. Celebrate that you drank more water today. Celebrate that you got some movement in. Celebrate that your sleep has improved, your energy's improved. You notice you're being more calm and patient with your kids. Celebrate that maybe your clothes are a little bit looser and the scale still hasn't moved. Celebrate that the workout you did last week feels a lot easier this week. Or you did 4 push-ups instead of three, or you did 12 sit-ups instead of eight. Like, literally celebrate all these small wins because all these small wins are what add up to make the progress, to make the habits, to give you the results. So focus on the mindset, okay? You can show up as your biggest cheerleader instead of your biggest critic. So, tip number 4, regulate your nervous system. Okay, this is extremely important for the moms out there. Even if you're not a mom, if you have a stressful job, if you find you're often stressed, we need to talk about this, okay? Because this is something I was neglecting. When we moved life got busier, life got more chaotic, and I was prioritizing the main things. My nutrition was good, my workouts were happening, everything else was not great. Everything else needed some work, but I was like, I do not have the time. I am already running a business, raising 2 young kids under 4, and I am working out. I'm working on myself. I don't have time to meditate, to journal, to do breath work, to just allow myself time to think or to journal. I was not giving myself that time and space. And it showed and I felt it. So I'm telling you this because this is something that I've been prioritizing very recently that has made a world of difference. Okay. If you are waking up and choosing coffee and chaos immediately, and you feel like you're spending your day in survival mode, constantly overwhelmed, constantly on edge, your nervous system is dysregulated. And that affects your hormones and your cortisol levels, and it definitely affects your ability to lose weight. No, movement definitely helps regulate your nervous system. It helps alleviate stress, but it is also important to intentionally create moments of calm, deep breathing, quiet time, thinking time, as well as protecting your mind from constant negativity. I know there are a lot of negative things going on in the world right now, but if you watch the news all day and scroll through reels of TikToks of what's happening in the world and just like sit in this like funk of like these crappy things are happening and there's nothing I can do about it, like that's not serving you. Like, yes, it's good to know what's happening in the world. Yes, it's good to acknowledge it. and stay updated. But then remind yourself that you are the only one who can control how you feel. And the only thing you can control is how you show up today and what you do today. So if you can't do something today that is going to help these things that you're sitting in a funk thinking about, then do something else, okay? Put it to the side, you know, put it in a box, put it in a drawer. You don't have to, don't stuff it down forever. Just put it off for now. It is not something that needs to occupy your mind all day, keeping you in this negative funk, okay? Just put it away and say, what can I do to have a good day? What can I control today that is going to make me feel better, that is going to make me better, that is going to, you know, add to my wellness journey. You can always control how you show up in the run of the day. And focusing on things that you can't control, even if it is in your own life, some negative things are happening that you can't control. I get that it's hard, but you can put that in a drawer too. You can put that in a drawer and you can say, you know what? I'm gonna have a crappy 5 minutes. I'm going to feel the feelings, then I'm going to put it away, and I'm going to show up for what I know will help me feel better instead of just sitting in this funk. All right, moving on. Tip number 5, build habits. Okay, and this goes back to sustainability. The real goal is to build habits that are going to stick. You want your health routines to feel as normal and automatic as brushing your teeth. And the best way to do that is start small. What I like to do with my clients is just like commit to one very small thing that can make a very big difference. Um, and this is just really to learn how to build habits and really just like work that discipline muscle. Okay, so we want something easy, something quick and easy that you can do every day that you're not doing already. One of the things I like to encourage is making your bed. Okay, it takes 2 minutes. It is something that is easy to do. It is not a whole hour-long workout. But it's something that, you know, can make you feel a little bit accomplished. It's a good way to start your day. And when you get in your bed at the end of the day and it's not all a mess and your dog wasn't laying on your pillow, then you feel good about it. You feel accomplished. You feel empowered. And it's a really powerful place to start because it's also something that you don't have to like put too much time towards. Like when you're getting ready in the morning, if like you set your alarm, you put a note, make your bed before you leave your bedroom, you do it, you feel good. Because two things are going to happen. First of all, you are going to prove to yourself that you can create a new habit and stick to it, and that making habits is easy and discipline is easy. And this is a great place to start. And, the day you start feeling like you've got this, is powerful. And that's the other thing that's going to happen. You're going to learn that you can build habits, you can build discipline, and you're also going to start feeling like you have your life together. Because, like I said, you want to build a habit that is going to make you feel good. So, if you want a more tidy house, you enjoy the feeling of getting into a made bed every night and coming home and not seeing chaos in your room, then this is good because every time you do it, you feel like you've got your life together. And that is powerful. So, start with small things. And, if you already make your bed every morning and you're like, I need something, maybe start with 5 minutes of movement, like intentional movement. Like, obviously, if you're a mom, if you have an active job, you move throughout the day, but start with 5 minutes of intentional movement, whether that is, a quick walk after supper, or, some strength training, start with like basic things, squats, things you can do with body weight. Whatever it is, make it easy to adhere to, make it the same time every day, and make it something that's quick. Because the goal here is simply to create a habit. All right, now we're going to get into the fun part. Whether or not you think is fun is up to you, but we're going to talk about the tactical things, the nutrition and the workouts, exactly what I would do, like first priorities in order to reach your goals without overcomplicating it. Because, of course, everyone is different and you need your own approach, but these are simple changes that you can make to live a healthier life. So we're going to keep it simple. Instead of focusing on what to cut out, focus on what to add in, specifically protein and fiber at every meal. If you are someone who likes numbers, you want 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal. By the end of the day, you want to have at least for like the tiniest female ever, at least 100 grams of protein a day. Okay? So start there. If you're way under that, just, try to increase it a little bit week after week. But protein and fiber at every meal. You don't need to cut out bread or pasta or baked goods, moderation. But also, when you're eating more fiber and more protein every meal, you're not going to have the room for a ton of bread or pasta. You're probably going to end up by default having slightly less bread or pasta than you usually would because protein fills you up more than carbs do, and you're already increasing your protein. So naturally, other things are going to decrease, but it's easier on your mind to think about what you're adding in instead of what you're taking out. Okay, so don't focus on the bread and the pasta. Focus on the protein and fiber. Make sure you have a meat source at lunch and supper. And, breakfast, what I like to do is just eggs and toast, eggs with egg whites, because eggs alone do not have enough protein in them. So I like to have both. You don't want just egg whites because the fats from the yolks are good for you as well. But I'm not going to get more into specific foods. That's just how I like to plan my week. I plan it around having, either a smoothie or eggs and toast for breakfast. Sometimes turkey bacon or turkey sausage with that, and then plan a lunch meat and a supper meat. Finally, let's talk about strength training. So, workouts. Strength training is the most important part, okay? It helps with so many things. It's going to improve your body composition, make sure you're not looking like skinny fat because most people's goal is to be like toned, to look like fit and toned. So, strength training is going to help with your body composition. It is going to improve your metabolism. It's going to improve your brain health and your longevity and your independence as you age and your like physical capabilities, all of it. And if you love Pilates or you love yoga, or, in the summer you really love to bike or kayak, keep doing those things, okay? Add in at least one full body strength training session per week. It's going to make a huge difference, okay? So keep doing what you enjoy. I always recommend, finding movement that you really love and feels easy to you, but make sure you are adding in at least one strength training session per week because it's really important. So, on this International Women's Day, I want to leave you with this. You don't need a perfect diet. You don't need the newest workout trend. You need sustainability, adaptability, a strong mindset, a regulated nervous system, habits that stick, balanced nutrition, and strength. If you focus on these things, you'll build a life that supports you for years, not just for weeks. And that is the real goal. Sustainable results, not quick results. But becoming the kind of woman who shows up for herself consistently, one thing that really stuck with me from the event this morning was the theme of women supporting women. Every speaker talked about the importance of lifting others up and sharing knowledge and making the path of life a little easier for the next woman. And the truth is, we usually forget that the same also applies to ourselves. We talk to ourselves in ways that we would never talk to our friends. We judge ourselves harshly. We focus on what we didn't do instead of what we did. So today, I just want you to treat yourself the way you would treat another woman who's trying her best. Encourage her, celebrate her, support her. Because when women support women, that includes the woman you see in the mirror every day. She deserves the same compassion and patience and belief. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I hope you are feeling great and feeling empowered after listening to this. And happy International Women's Day. I would love if you could share this with another woman in your life. It would mean a lot to me. And also leave a 5-star rate and review if you could. And let me know how you're doing with these things. If you're trying to implement them, feel free to send me a message over on Instagram. I am at livefit_weight loss, or check out my website for what I have going on right now. It is livemurphyweightloss.com. So, with that being said, have a great weekend. Have a great International Women's Day, and we'll see you next week.